はい、じゃあ、ラブラウスキーさん、こんにちは。
こんにちは。お久
はい、
しぶり
thank
で
you
す。
for thank you for agreeing to be interviewed.
No,
So
thank you
first,
for interviewing me.
yeah, first tell me who you are and what your major was, and also when you graduated.
Thank you. I'm Branden Labarowski. I am a University of Cincinnati alumnus, graduated class of 2021. My major was electrical engineering with a certificate in Japanese language and culture.
Mm, thank you. So it's really amazing because I know that in engineering you have to take so many courses, but still you managed to finish the certificate. Was it hard? What?
Well, first of all,
Mm.
褒めてくださってありがとうございます. Thank you very much. It was challenging,
Mm,
but I'm really kind of a person that likes to stay busy. And for me, I kind of had a lot of engineering coursework, but I found Japanese and studying it to be really fun and exciting. So I would kind of block out a ton of time every day for studies, and I would use my Japanese studies as a distraction for my engineering studies when I when I didn't want to do engineering homework. I would just learn a bunch of new kanji and things like that. And I definitely think that that made it more doable for me. But it was a lot of hours of work, I think.
yeah,
Luckily, though, it was fun work, is what I'm saying.
yeah. Wow, that's really すごいです。
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And then you also
褒めてくださってありがとう.
participated in the international co-op program
I
and
did.
you worked in Japan, right?
Mhm.
So tell me where you worked and then also a bit about your experience working in Japan.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I
Mm.
worked for 7 months in Chiba Prefecture, obviously east of Tokyo, at a company called Tabata, which was a nut factory. It made um, peanuts, coconuts, macadamia nuts, all kinds of nuts. So I got to do factory work there and custom myself with that plant. And then I also had the opportunity while I was living in Japan um, to travel to Kansai for 2 weeks. And I got to work at an office branch in Osaka for 1 week and then a factory in Kobe in Hyogo Prefecture for another week. Um, and then I also got to see their Kanto office in Tokyo, where I worked there for 1 week, and I got to, experience the classic Japanese, commute from Chiba to Tokyo by train in the morning, getting squeezed in, and kind of the whole ordeal. So it was a really amazing, life changing experience, and to this day, I feel very indebted to UC and to Tabata as well for kind of letting me have such a perfect experience in Japan because from living day to day in an apartment in Chiba and just kind of going um, to a factory by bus that was in a more suburban area to actually getting to work in Tokyo and then also Osaka and Kobe. I really got to see a lot of Japan. And every day it was kind of just working with regular Japanese people that didn't speak any English. So, or very little. So, like, I to this day am very grateful to all my coworkers because I really think that experience of being there and kind of challenging myself both to understand native Japanese and be understood myself is really kind of what gave me the foundation for the career I have now and kind of the life I have now.
Wow,
But
and you
most of all,
still you're friends, right?
oh yeah, yeah, we still
That's
message each other every day online.
wow. It's
Actually, yeah, yeah. This weekend I went to the Kentucky Derby and I was sending them, pictures and stuff. And I always kind of send updates from my life, and they send me updates from theirs. And we're probably going to meet each other next time I'm in Japan.
yeah, it's really nice. Yeah. And so how your undergraduate study? So you had a lot of experience, but how your undergraduate study prepared you for your career?
Yeah, it prepared myself very very well, and I definitely want to say thank you to you, Markovich Sensei, as well
Oh,
as Araki Sensei and Fujioka Sensei for um, really, really challenging me. And, you know, like I said, the foundations of kind of everything that I was able to learn came from Japanese class and from Genki. And, like I said, when I would do my homework, a lot of times, I would just, read like the kaiwa at the beginning of every chapter in Genki over and over again. And if there was any like vocab I didn't know, I would like write the kanji over and over again. And I think without having challenged myself like that, because to this day when I'm speaking Japanese, I'll forget words, and sometimes I'll have to take a guess. Is this really the right word? Like for me, I'm definitely a big into repetition and learning. And I remember the exercises too, where you would sometimes just hold up a kanji and have us read it. And sometimes it would be kanji from many, many chapters ago. And I couldn't always do it. But I remember there was one moment that I was very, very proud when you held up the kanji for Minami, South. And I'm
Ah.
like, I know it, Minami des. Like little moments like that combined with just opportunities to kind of have discussions, to always use Japanese in the classroom is very, very exciting. And especially like for me, that helped me nail kind of the grammar and the vocab. And then I went to Japan, and for about the first 3 months that I was in Japan, it was still very, very hard to understand people.
Mhm.
But the cool experience that I had was like, until I had enough conversations with native Japanese speakers and I kind of got used to the pace that they speak,
Mhm.
um, I already had all these things that I'd learned in Japanese class in my head. I knew all of this vocab and all this grammar. The problem was I was kind of still very much in the watashi wa Amerikajin desu like mode. And when Japanese people like when I first went over there would hear me talk, I think they would kind of think, "Oh, he doesn't really know Japanese." But then thanks to my best friend Takahashi-san, who I've told you much about, who drove me all over Kanto and drove me to like many like I think in total we went to like 10 different prefectures together.
Wow.
Every weekend we would go on car trips and we would just talk in Japanese. And it was really crazy because like I had all this information in my head, but for me as a first time language learner, I never got the opportunity like I to use it that
Mhm.
frequently. And
Yeah.
like over time, like my pace kind of just got faster. And then
Mhm.
I remember after I was hanging out with Takahashi-san so much, I would go back to work at Tabata and like I would talk to my coworkers there. And at one point, I remember them telling me, "Wow, you learned Japanese so fast."
Mhm.
And it was like they thought that just from being there, I absorbed it all. But the truth is, it was Mariko Bichi Sensei that taught me Japanese, and then
Oh,
getting
so
to
nice.
use it kind of brought all that information back. So yeah, definitely. Everything I learned in the classroom, I'm still using every day now because it's kind of that same situation. Things I learned in Genki, they still come back to me whenever I'm talking with coworkers in Japanese today.
Yeah, yeah, because today, yeah, maybe so you can tell me more, a little bit more about the work that you have
Yeah,
now,
yeah. Thank you. Um,
because you get to use Japanese, right?
I do. Right now, I'm working for Toyota Tsusho, which Tsusho, as you know, is trading.
Mhm.
But our specific branch of Toyota Tsusho America does steel blanking for cars. So we don't necessarily make Toyota cars. That's
Mhm.
across the street at Toyota Motors where they do that. But we blank the steel that becomes the chassis and like the hood, the trunk, like the metal parts of the car. Um, so it's a very interesting place to work because, especially at the Kentucky branch, it's kind of almost half English and half Japanese.
Mhm.
A lot of the kind of like senior positions are Japanese chuzain, um, expatriates that kind of look after all the Americans and make sure we're doing everything right. And then likewise, there's I'm in engineering, so I tend to deal with people on the factory side of things. But then there's also a lot of like sales, business staff are Japanese. Like I said, it's almost half and half mix,
Mhm.
but they don't necessarily talk a lot because some of my Japanese coworkers are very good at English. But it's been interesting to me to kind of see that, like, obviously a lot of the English or American people can't speak any Japanese. So like one of the reasons actually that I was kind of told I was hired is to kind of bridge the gap, to kind of make sure that like um not just by being able to translate and interpret a little for Japanese and English people, but also I was hired on as a Toyota Tsusho engineer, which previously the company has not had an engineering. Like despite being around for decades, they've never had like an actual engineering team. But my boss, Murase-san, is a Japanese engineer who formerly worked for Toyota Steel Center in Nagoya. Um, and he's kind of told me that a big reason why he was kind of put in charge with like founding the engineering department at Toyota Tsusho was to make sure that the Japanese kind of way of doing things
Mm.
like gets established in America. For example, it's a lot of Excel sheets. Everything's about Excel sheets. I've learned from working there that Japanese people love Excel, which is good for me because I also love Excel. But anytime we do something, whether it's a repair or a Kaizen, an improvement project, we always write up a report in Excel. And the first
Mm.
time I heard that, my mind was blown because I was like, why is the report format in Excel? Wouldn't it make more sense if it's Word? But this is kind of like things like that, like using this same format, always documenting
Mm.
everything. They're just little ways of doing things that have been done at Toyota Steel Center in Nagoya for ages and ages. And in part to kind of like improve uptime, productivity, but also documentation at the American branches. Um, they want to implement those ways of doing things in America. So I work with one coworker named Sean, who's a mechanical engineer. So I kind of handle electrical things and he handles mechanical things. But all of our direct supervisors are Japanese. And for whatever reason, they wanted to hire specifically an electrical engineer who could speak Japanese, which was very lucky for me because it's my dream job. And I think what I've learned is that a lot of the like electrical components that they use are by Japanese manufacturers like Komatsu and
Mm.
Yaskawa. And they don't necessarily always provide like English tech support or necessarily very good ones. So I was kind of picked out to be the electrical guy that could speak Japanese, sort of both for the sake of talking to like Japanese manufacturers, but also kind of for translating for my boss and making sure that the Japanese kind of way of doing things gets kind of enforced and perpetuated by the engineering team.
Wow, so this is really a perfect job for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been great. And I loved my last job. Like I said, there were some opportunities to use Japanese there, and I'm very grateful for it and would also be interested in talking about if you'd like to. But when I kind of decided I wanted to move a little closer to home as well as start something new, like I applied to a couple places, and as soon as I heard back from them, I'm like, wow, that's perfect.
Yeah, and then you also get to go to Japan from time to time, obviously. So that's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. In
Wow.
2 weeks, we'll be going to Nagoya to actually see Toyota Steel Center in real life. Another one of their plants, which is in Tahara, and then a few other places. We'll be there for
How
two
long are
weeks.
you going to stay there?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Oh, wow.
Mhm.
That's really good.
Yep, I'm excited.
Um, and then I just remembered you also won an award at the JASCO speech contest.
Yes, I did. It was
It's, during the pandemic.
yeah, yeah. It was also over Zoom, a lot like
Yeah.
this actually. Um, but yeah, that was very cool, very exciting. I'm really grateful to Fujioka Sensei for. I think it was every single day, or I think it was 3 times a week. We met. Yeah, it was part of JPN 4002, I think technically. It was like my Japanese self study for the certificate was meeting with her, crafting my speech every single day. Um, you know, she kind of helped me with having like extra native sounding pronunciation. And I remember like for months and months before that speech, I would just listen to my own recording of it in the car to memorize everything. And then also in the speech, they had some people, some Japanese native speakers from different industries. do a Q&A session where I had to answer questions
Yeah,
about my
that's the most
speech.
difficult part.
Oh yeah, yeah, very, very difficult. Because I was gonna say I wrote the speech myself. I also had that opportunity to practice it for months and months, but I had to anticipate, questions that obviously I wouldn't know. And Fujioka Sensei ran through that with me many,
Mm,
many times. I also reached out to Takahashi-san and I practiced with him a couple times. My friend from Japan, um, and he asked me some sample questions.
mm,
So I was very nervous the day of, but I was very well prepared, and it was an amazing opportunity, to kind of be able to add that to my resume because,
yeah,
yeah, it was very cool. The Japanese consulate general in Detroit gave me a trophy, but also like adding it to my resume, I definitely think is something that made me stand out when I said
yeah, definitely.
just
Yeah.
last year when I was looking for the Toyota Tsusho job,
Mhm.
that was one thing that I was able to say to point to that hopefully made me stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, yeah, with Japanese companies, definitely. They're like, oh,
Mm.
what? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so nice that they sent you the trophy after the.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
I don't really like talking about I I don't want to sound unhumble, but I remember I was kind of like the other day, like I was thinking like I really haven't won trophies for a lot of stuff, but is this cool that I got a trophy?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Okay, yeah, thank you so much for. So now I will stop recording.
Oh, yes, thank you.
ございます。